Hello there. So I wanted to respond to David Crippen's call for 15-minute educational videos and give you my reflections on critical care medicine, critical care medicine and me. So as you probably know, I'm a kidney pathologist. I started the first renal medicine email discussion group, Nephrol, just about the same time that David started critical care medicine L, CCML. And I've followed his group with great interest since the beginning. But you might wonder, why did I follow it with great interest? Well, not only are David and I sort of completely opposite personas, but the groups are also completely opposite. And I've come to the conclusion that this is not rules-based. It's not because of the rules that David and I have created for the groups. It's that the members of the groups, the people who make up the critical care medicine community and the nephrology community, are remarkably different as a whole. Now, your community, critical care medicine, has many more characters, many more colorful stories. There probably are colorful stories in kidney medicine, but they're mainly in the past, or the ones in the present somehow don't find their way into email discussion groups. They may be in forums on YouTube and stuff, but they're not on Nephrol. And the reason that we don't have a lot of off-topic discussions on Nephrol is not so much that we don't allow them. It is true that we don't, but there doesn't seem to be the constituency with the need to tell stories, to talk about politics, humor, all the colorful off-topic things that occur on CCML. There just doesn't seem to be a wish for them to be on Nephrol. And I must admit, I was kind of frustrated by this. I thought that there must be these fascinating characters in kidney medicine, just as interesting as the people in critical care medicine. But over the past 20-odd years, I have failed to find such people. And so I've concluded that that's really not the case. So you might find that interesting. In the beginning, I had great respect for kidney physicians. I believed that the best and the brightest young physicians entered nephrology and kidney transplantation. And that was really where the excitement was in medicine. And over time, as you may know, there's been this loss of luster in kidney transplantation and in nephrology in general, and it's definitely not the case now in 2016 that the best and brightest are going into those fields. So it's been interesting from that point of view. Now, I mentioned that Nephrol and CCML began in 1994, in the fall of 1994. In the spring of 1994, the Australian-New Zealand Society of Nephrology invited me to visit renal units all over Australia and New Zealand over a 4 to 5 week period. I've never again done something like that. It was really an enormous amount of fun to visit so many units and see so many interesting people. And Stephen Street in Auckland was one of the most interesting people that I met during that trip, and I really enjoyed the interaction with him in 1994. So that's another connection with critical care medicine. In 2013, I did a nerd night performance reflecting on David Crippen and me as alter egos, and how different we were, and how one could look at life through the lens of somebody leading a completely opposite life. It doesn't matter how you look at it. You know, a pathologist spends most of their workday sitting down. An intensivist, a critical care physician, is up and walking around most of the time. David won a lot of awards for military service. I've never been in the military. I've won a lot of awards in, I guess you would say, civilian life, and am different from David in that point of view. And I've held a number of leadership roles. And I guess that's another difference. In a sense, when I'm leading Nephrol, I have often had the clout of being the person in a specific leadership role in kidney medicine. And you might think that that's the reason that we don't have off-topic discussions, and we never tell jokes or talk about politics or movies or books or all the other interesting things that critical care medicine talks about. But actually, it seems to be that the people who are a part of the Nephrol group don't have the slightest interest in talking about those things, which secretly makes them seem to me to be a somewhat duller group than the people who are on CCML. So that's one of the reasons that I continue to follow the activity on CCML. Now, it might interest you what's happened to me. So very recently, in May of 2016, I won the Clinical Mentoring Award here in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Alberta. And that was quite an interesting process. It meant that 53 people that I had trained were polled for their views on what my mentoring had been like and what the experience with me was like. And it's largely on the basis of those people reporting back that I won this mentoring award. And that seemed to sort of leverage other possibilities. I teach a course on technology and the future of medicine, one of the few courses in the world that talks about the technological singularity, the point in time when machines are smarter than the entire human race, which is supposed to occur in 2045, and where machines presumably will take over the future agenda of the world, and we can only understand what's going on if we merge or cooperate with them in some way. So for a long time, I felt this was such a fringe activity that it would never become part of required medical student teaching here, something that the medical students had to learn. But this year, it has become a part of that, and we now teach the first-year medical students directly for 4 hours these futuristic views of mine, different scenarios about what the future will be like, what medicine will be like in the future. And that is quite a remarkable success, in that I never thought that I would get approval to teach in required courses. In other words, to be teaching stuff that all of the first-year medical students need to learn and will be tested on, related to such things as Moore's law and exponential change and the technological singularity, machine replacement of human labor, and so on. I've always had an interest in diversity. You know that diversity is a very, very complex field, not just racial diversity, but gender balance, economic diversity, diversity of ethnic origin, and sexual preference, and many other things like that. And it extends, of course, beyond humans, potentially to higher animals, which may have rights, and to sentient machines in the future, which will almost certainly need rights as well. And it must be merged with entertainment. Otherwise, it will never succeed. And so I have a lot of sort of entertainment links in the past. Iconic Canadian poet, singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen. I've been doing Leonard Cohen events since 2002. I visited him over a 3-day weekend and brought along my Sony Aibo robotic dog in 2005. And so recently we have realized a number of the concepts from the Technology and Future of Medicine course. We're not going to get people to sit still to listen to those concepts in a lecture format. On the other hand, if you include them in poetry and song, if you make them part of entertainment, you can reach a whole lot of people that you could never reach otherwise. And so we call that initiative The Future and All That Jazz. And at the Vortex Jazz Club in London, UK, on August 18th, we had a very successful gig where we did exactly that. We talked about these important futuristic topics of when machines are better at doing practically everything than we are, what the world will be like, and how we should approach that so that the human race survives. I think that's an important topic. And the venue was full, and the people enjoyed very much what we did. And one thing that was quite amusing is all of their suggestions about what we should do next were completely impractical. As you know, Google has a big operation in all major cities of the world now, and that includes London. And so they felt that at Google London, we should be in the Google Talks program where we're entertaining Google employees. Well, that's a nice thought, but they have really high-profile celebrities, mainly TV and movie personalities. Lady Gaga was the latest person to actually perform there, and so it just does not seem like an appropriate next step for us to be on Google Talks. So in a sense, that's kind of empowering for this assistant dean diversity position. It allows me to suggest entertainment-connected things related to trying to make this medical school more diverse, so you can talk about relatively uncomfortable subjects and people are still willing to listen when you make it entertaining in some way. And the other thing that may entertain you is this room that I'm in, which is called Cyber Nephrology. This is where my office is, but different from any of you, I'm sure. I share my office with young people that I'm training, students between the ages approximately 18 and 29 or 30, young doctors in training, undergraduate students, and it's a lot of fun. It keeps me young, this constant interaction throughout the day with young people. You notice these stuffed animals here. A lot of the art and artifacts in this room come from the students rather than me. And practically everywhere you look, you can see something kind of fascinating and unusual. If we go over here, you can get some idea of that. There's a unicorn, various Brito art figures. You know, Brito was the official artist for the World Cup in Brazil. Beatles memorabilia, some of my books, Leonard Cohen books, robotic dog right there, pencil sketch of me, and this large Brito reindeer there up in the corner looking down on us. And behind me we have Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, There is Sheldon, and there you have the logo of this room, National Kidney Foundation Cyber Nephrology. And as you may know from the Nerd Night talk, what basically happened here is that for 10 years we had fantastic funding, $400,000 a year, and a lot of highly paid professionals working for cyber nephrology. And then in 2007, the executive director of the National Kidney Foundation told me two things. So one of those things was that they couldn't support us anymore, but the other was that they wanted us to continue with cyber nephrology. They didn't really care how we did it, but they wanted all the activity to continue. They just couldn't provide us with any more money. So at that moment in 2007, I had to get rid of the highly paid professional staff that we had, and I replaced them with students that we paid hardly anything, but it was a unique experience for these students who ended up doing things that no students had ever done before in the history of the world, but there were all these 10-year established templates of how to do them. And so that constant student contact really keeps my outlook quite young, and it appears to be working very well. You can see that my life is very different from David's, and I wish all of you on CCML well, and particularly David, who I have enjoyed the interaction with over all these years. Thanks very much, and that's it.